Hello, I'm David.
And I'm Adam.
And this is Geek Motif.
Yeah, this is a new show where we're going to take large concepts, like, for instance, this time we're doing hacking, and we're going to trace it through the history of pop culture.
Be it movies, TV shows, video games, some books.
Right. Then we're going to take a movie or two and use them as a case study. This
Like
time
hackers.
We're doing hackers. The funny thing is that David has never seen almost any movie. You can
Most
name
movies.
a movie.
Most movies I have not seen. So we're going to fix that
Yeah.
by watching them and then talking about them.
If you would like to hear about hackers and see David see it for the very first time,
Stay tuned. Is that Matthew Lillard?
yes,
Oh my God.
he's amazing in this. Can't get this in stores, man.
Well, should we talk about hackers?
Yeah, I think we should, Dave. Hackers.
Matthew Lillard's movie.
I mean, he kind of, even though he isn't the main character, kind of owns this movie.
Everything that Matthew Lillard is in just brings me such joy.
Yeah.
So much joy.
I mean, his character, whenever he's on screen, just kind of eats up everybody else.
He absolutely commands every square inch of the screen. And with his moniker, serial killer.
Serial killer.
Like the cereal.
Like-
Like the food.
Actual cereal.
Yeah, like cereal.
Yeah.
Cereal, yeah. I did not know that until I looked up his credits for this.
So, Hackers, 1995, not the first instance of hacking in a film. WarGames is a very early example of that, 1983. Right. So, we're talking 12 years before this film.
It's kind of crazy to see how it's evolved in a relatively short amount of time. And then how it's still today in newer films and TV shows and video games. You always see the falling characters, via the Matrix. That just became a thing.
Well, yeah, that's a trope. That just kind of automatically signifies that you're hacking now.
Yeah.
Hackers is really early on. I looked it up. At this point in our history, only 14% of homes actually had connection to the internet. 14%.
Which is crazy to think about.
So, I mean, the concept of computers, and especially computers that are attached to the internet that can talk to each other, was almost magic at this point.
Yeah.
In WarGames, it was real magic then because nobody had them. It was massively expensive. They were incredibly slow.
And trying to give people a visual representation of what was going on in a computer space at the time when nobody really had access to it must have been such a task.
Yeah, because they don't have any point of reference,
No,
right?
there's nothing to go off of.
Well, I mean, I think that's what this movie does really well, too. Hackers doesn't try to show you what hacking actually looks like. It's trying to capture a vibe, right?
Right.
Crazy montage of time passing and, algorithmic equations flashing and
I love it.
the actual representation of the internet, which I love in this film because it's real. Like, they shot an actual miniature and then did all kinds of projection and animation on that miniature.
It's always been portrayed as a cityscape. You see it in this, you see it in Tron, Johnny Mnemonic.
Yeah.
They have a cityscape, net type
Almost
thing.
like the same shot as the opening shot of this, where they're
Almost
passing over
identical.
New York and it's like an overhead shot that turns into a terminal. Except for in Johnny Mnemonic, it's crappy 90s CGI.
I mean, they did the best they could. But yeah,
I mean, I got serious love for crappy 90s CGI.
there's definitely something to be said about the practical effects in Hackers for this representation. It played so well.
Right,
I mean,
it doesn't
clearly-
age, right?
Yeah.
Like the crappy 90s CGI. The only reason that I call it crappy now is because it's aged so badly, right?
Yeah. But that's all CGI. I mean, even CGI from the
Early
later-
2000s are
yeah.
bad. What's crazy is that Hackers, when it came out, it was a $20 million budget. It only made $7.6 million.
Oof.
It was a massive bomb, but has gone on to become a massive cult hit.
Through the small amount of research I've done on the video game side of things for hacking, Hackers obviously came up a fair amount of times.
I know that a lot of hackers cite it as the reason that they got into hacking.
Yeah.
They saw this movie, they said, "Oh, these people are cool." They are super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to talk about the style. Incredibly overstyled. These kids, these high school kids
High school kids
wearing
with-
high fashion all the time.
They got They got Beverly Hills budget for everyday life. It's crazy.
It was awesome. Why do you think that this movie become the cult phenomenon that it actually has?
The fact that it inspired people to actually pursue careers in cyberspace of varying degrees. People learned hacking, people learned cybersecurity, people learned, coding,
right?
Just more access to computers. It was so influential at the time. Most people didn't have computers at their homes, or if they did, they didn't have, they weren't on the internet or whatever. So as people started learning these things, there's a whole set of people who, see a movie like this and then they just get curious. And that curiosity sparks, chasing down all kinds of questions that they never would have asked before.
Right. And that is part of the actual hacker manifesto. Remember, They read it in the movie, and they say, this is our world now, the world of the electron and the switch. We exist without skin color, without nationality, without religious bias, and you call us criminals. Yes, I am a criminal. My crime is curiosity. They portray this counterculture, which I think is a major part of this, right? Like the idea of this is not only a group of people, but it's a culture that they're creating, right? A cyber culture that didn't exist before. It's like the new rock and roll or the new punk rock, right? It's not only a shared interest, but it's also an aesthetic, right?
Right.
They dress a certain way. They hang out in certain bars. They have certain secret knowledge that other people don't have. And, only people in the know.
It's a gang. It's a secret club that only the people that are in it know about.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
It's a form of anonymity that allows them to be accepted without, face value. It's just they're behind a screen. You don't know who they are. They all have monikers in this movie.
The idea of cyber culture really exploded in 1995. Johnny Mnemonic came out in 1995.
Which is crazy that all of these came out in 1995.
The Net came out in 1995. Hackers came out in 1995. And so did Virtuosity. Part of the reason that this movie is still around and still considered a classic is the music. I think it captures a certain time in music that was, that early wave of electronic music. I mean, this has Prodigy, Orbital, Left Field, Kruger and Dorfmeister, Underworld. It really captures that vibe of that time. And if you were into that kind of counterculture, that was the music you were listening to.
Yeah.
Usually, at this point, when a movie would come out, they would release a soundtrack beforehand to get people excited about it. In this case, they didn't think anybody was going to be interested in this music because most people had never heard of these bands. So they didn't release the soundtrack. And then after the movie came out, the few people that actually went to the theater to see it, started screaming that they wanted a soundtrack. Then they had to scramble and put together a soundtrack. And it was so popular that they released 2 other soundtracks that were not music from the movie, but inspired by the movie.
So they just had essentially a whole genre kick off because of this kind of movie too.
Yeah.
He's kind of dressed like Dracula.
You're right.
Isn't he?
Blah, blah, blah.
We should hack the world together.
We can spin out and talk about a little bit about video games.
I always spin out.
Video games, have always kind of had hacking mini games involved in them, right?
Yes, it's always been a
almost from the very
stylized
beginning,
System Shock.
Yeah.
I had Alpha Protocol was one where they did the whole moving numbers thing. Video games always stylized hacking, because it has to be fun. Real hacking.
Well, just like movies, right?
Yeah.
You don't see people sitting down there typing in terminal commands that often. I mean, you do kind of now, but
newer games,
movies as well try to,
make it more realistic.
even, if you look at Mission Impossible or even the latest Bond film, anytime someone's hacking, there's still this 3-dimensional graphic and it's we're breaching the shell right now. The kernel is open,
the Johnny Mnemonic thing.
Yeah, but it's
in 3D space.
Yeah, he's doing the 3D space thing. That isn't part of hacking, really. There's no graphical interface that.
It's all just
it's
words
all
and
terminal commands and
scripting.
That kind of stuff. So, they're always trying to find some sort of unique to make it interesting to the viewer, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is the same with video games.
It was one of the weirdest hacking things in games is how Bioshock did it in their first game.
That was that weird pipe thing, right?
Yeah, you had to uncover tiles that had, pipe shapes behind it, and then you had to have the water go from one side of the map to the other.
Well, it was glowing green goo. It wasn't really water.
Whatever
it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, that isn't actually hacking. That's plumbing.
Yeah, it was essentially making you
be Mario,
plumber.
right?
Yeah,
like you should have been freaking Mario.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's me, Mario.
Like
Because
there's more plumbing in that game than there is in all of the Mario games combined.
Well, yeah. Mario games combined,
do you ever actually plumb other than having like pipes as a motif in the film?
I mean, in Mario Sunshine, you have a water backpack that you shoot people with water. So closest thing. No.
Yeah, not plumbing though. Definitely not plumbing.
Deus Ex, Mankind Divided.
Interesting that you brought up Deus Ex though, because they've always had hacking in that game, and I think it's probably one of the more realistic hacking metaphors though.
For a
like especially
in
the new ones where you're like attacking nodes and trying to get before the system recognizes that you're in. That's the way it branches out, the way that you can backdoor fortify too in that, so that it takes the system longer to get through to you.
Following paths to different systems, different files or data centers or whatever.
I remember the first time I played that, I was just completely lost. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. Like, this is weird, but after a while you get it, and I actually really kind of came to respect that as one of the better versions of a hacking mini game.
Yeah, for sure. It's good too because it also utilizes using different tools to fortify the backdoor to your system so that the system security can't shut you down faster, or you can just immediately breach into certain paths. Like gamified, but it's a little more realistic than plumbing.
Yes, exactly. One of my favorite games is Fallout.
Love the word find game.
Also, like one of the worst representations of hacking, because you're not really hacking. I don't mind playing that game because it's a word game.
Right.
You have to find the correct word within like the terminal. They give you the number of characters you get right, and so you can determine it.
Well, honestly, it's funny you bring that up. I feel like there is. Here, go with me on this.
Yeah.
I feel like there's kind of a roundabout way that it is kind of realistic because real hacking involves phishing emails. Okay, so like there's a tool in actual hackerspace called the Harvester, and essentially what it does is it collects data from public sources like Google, social media accounts, whatnot. It basically just combs through those to find the email addresses, IP addresses, open ports in people's systems. That way they can, exploit getting in. But one of the major things for actual hacking is the easiest way to hack somebody's account for anything is just to have their password, which is why phishing emails and
which
whatnot.
Is 90% of actual hacking now.
Which is why phishing emails and whatnot.
Phishing works. I hear that also they'll go to data dumps on the darknet.
Yep.
And look for your name. If they have access to you and they find out something about you personally, then they will go and search in the darknet because there's all these data breaches that are just available.
Our data's everywhere at this point, so it's like impossible to avoid.
So just don't get targeted is really the point.
But like in a way, the Fallout mini game where you're just trying to find the password, it's kind of like combing through existing data just to find the right set of or the right set of letters that make up the key to get into whatever system you're hacking in the game. So there is a level.
And sometimes you'll find a note or something within the system that has the new password. I mean, it's realistic in that way.
Obviously it doesn't look like that when you're actually hacking, but like finding the password is essentially what hacking is.
And that's what Matthew Broderick does in WarGames to get into the school. He knows where they write down the new password every week. And so he goes and he looks, and then he goes home and he types in the password and gets right into the system.
And then he causes World War III.
Outlaws was an interesting one, the Star Wars game.
See, that was one that I never actually picked up, and I haven't seen it yet.
What you have is a grid of shapes,
Okay.
And what you have to do is determine the sequence of the shapes. Again, it's basically the same as the word game, but with shapes instead of words.
It's funny, like, just how many different mini games that people have come up with. There's word finds, there's plumbing.
Plumbing, yeah. Very important one.
And Black Flag, they have a mini game for hacking where you're literally just playing Frogger. You have to get a node from one side
I've seen
to the
that,
other,
right?
And they just have lines that move.
It's just like green lines that have little gaps in it, right? And you have to get your little guy through the...
Yeah, and it's literally just like a dot that you get from one side to the other. They took Frogger and they just got rid of like all the things that make Frogger, fun.
That game Prey
was stupid.
The stupidest game, right? Like you have a dot
slide
and
the little dot.
you have to slide the dot around this little pinball type
Yeah.
of thing, and if you hit the sides, then it
just,
would
like,
ricochet
stops.
off, and
Yeah.
and if you hit the electrified ones, you lose. Yeah, I mean, I think it's universally thought of as one of the worst hacking games ever.
Must be really hard to hack the system using spinning phone booths.
I know, right? I feel like you'd get a little nauseous after a while.
So can we get back to hackers?
Let's talk about hackers.
We've talked a little bit about counterculture, but I think counterculture is one of the main reasons that it's still relevant today, right?
Right.
It's like that classic youth versus older people, right? Honestly, like the whole metaphor for the movie is basically a youth versus boomers type of situation. The boomers are creating an actual ecological event to cover up a robbery, and then
Right.
they're leaving the kids to clean it up. Like they wanted to blame the kids for that ecological event.
These darn kids just don't want to work these days.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, it's the whole movie is kind of just like a metaphor of, you know, like youth versus boomer culture.
Which is a trope that has been done so many times, and it's always interesting.
Yeah.
still.
Well, when you boil it down, like it's who you identify with. You want to be cool kids, right?
Fighting the power.
Fighting that power.
Going against the norm.
Yeah. I have a quote here from Ian Softly. This was from a Nerdist interview. He said, "We were in a casual moment in culture where the tectonic plates were about to shift. I wondered what the next one was going to be. That's when I read the script and thought this culture could break through. I saw it as a new rock and roll, which we made explicit in the clothes and the music. It was a new wave of representing yourself, the way you spend time with your mates and the way you'd adventure into this digital landscape."
It was definitely rock and roll.
Well-
Everything about it, like,
I mean, let's talk about the clothes. We talked about them a little bit earlier, right? I mean, I wouldn't really call it cyber punk,
it was like punk that was cyber
cyber-fi.
adjacent.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the cool thing about this is like each of the characters had their kind of own unique look, and all of them were kind of mashing all of the things from the past together, all these different movements. Serial Killer was obviously punk rock, right?
Yeah.
But all of that stuff was modified. Like he chopped it up and wore like all these weird military things with it, and they took the past and then made it present.
Yeah. Military fatigues were definitely a big part of this movie because I feel like multiples of the characters,
Oh yeah.
like at some point or another, had some form of military thing going on.
Oh, Crash Override like was wearing like fatigues, like,
Yeah.
and remember he spray painted his keyboard with
Well, essentially, they were at war.
yes.
Like,
Oh
the-
yeah.
yeah. The whole
We
thing.
want to talk
was-
metaphors, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was a battle between, the haves and the have-nots.
You had Angelina Jolie, and she was, very Japanese influence. She wore like kimonos, but she also wore like surf culture stuff because she would wear like a wetsuit as a shirt
Yeah.
and then put pants over it.
It's funny because it feels like in a movie about hacking, you would want to stand out as little as possible, but everybody in this movie was trying to be the center of attention at the same time.
Yeah.
And then Matthew Lillard just took the spotlight no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, he just overacted in every scene in the most brilliant way possible.
All right, there's a little tension breaker that had to be done, all right?
So Zero
Yeah.
Cool, an 11-year-old with access to the internet and a computer,
Yeah.
crashes like
1705 systems.
systems,
Yeah,
yeah.
1705. They mention it like 10 times.
and
in
then
the movie.
their family's responsible for like $45,000 of damages or something like that, and he gets banned from all technology, which is, you said, is a thing that still happens, like, which is not surprising to me because especially in this day and age where everybody has a supercomputer in their pocket, when you have access to the internet that we have now, it took me 2 minutes to find actual hacking tools.
Right.
Like when I was doing research, because all these tools are open source, anybody can use them. It's part of the whole process.
You
of,
too can be a hacker.
exactly.
Just go to YouTube.
Yeah, you can learn anything. on
YouTube will show you how to do it.
I mean, I grew up in a time where we had the internet, but it was still pretty darn new in the late 90s and early 2000s,
Dave, I grew up in a time where no one had the internet.
which is correct. But you had computers.
Well,
You
I'm
at
one of
least-
those crossover guys, though. Like
Yeah.
it happened while I was young enough that I, learned those tools. But
Right.
yeah, it's very strange. There was everything before the internet, and then there's now everything after the internet.
Which is just spiraling out of control at all times.
Yeah.
Like that's the crazy thing is no matter how much they try to put stops on all this stuff, there's always new tools, new things coming out that's why no matter what these companies do, there's always going to be some way to get around security system.
Right. Well, I think that's another thing about hackers too, is like, hacking at that point wasn't the negative term that it is now, right? It was kind of associated with positivity. Despite the fact that this deals with worms and viruses, and which everybody was afraid of at that point, because it was then just coming into the zeitgeist, people were understanding, the negativity that could happen if somebody wanted to do it. All of our guys are just curious. They're excited about this whole access to information, this interconnectivity. Hacking wasn't necessarily a bad thing at that time, right? And this movie is filled with like the positivity of actually being in this counterculture, the cyber culture.
Yeah, because I feel like movies like this and this kind of this culture at this time, because it was so new, it generated both sides of the aisle. Like, it made people say, wow, that's so cool. I want to break into government websites and steal information. And it made people say, wow, that's so cool. I want to stop people from breaking into government websites and stealing information. Like, it simultaneously created heroes and villains at the same time.
Right.
Like,
the writer of this film actually hung out with real hackers and went to hacker meetings. Like in New York during this time, there was a magazine called the 2600 that was published. And in that, they would publish places for hackers to meet up and talk. And so
that's crazy.
Yeah. And so it started out really small, small group of people, but got bigger and bigger as time went on. And we're talking, this is through, the 80s, like early. And so the writer of this actually hung out with a lot of these guys, asking questions and really getting immersed in the culture. And I think that's one of the things that makes this movie stand out, because a lot of the information that's presented is true information. Like the books, remember when he's like pulling out all those books? What is this? Oh, that's the red book. Oh, that's the pink book because of his ugly sweater. Like, these were real resources that these people were using. The concept of phone freaking. Remember when he's on the phone, the freak, and he plays the tone off of the tape?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot
phone
about
freaking
that.
was like a big deal in the early 80s. In fact, in WarGames, he phone freaks in too.
It's crazy. Like, how do you figure these things out? Like, how people just mess
so
with
the story
things.
of that is crazy. There was a 9-year-old kid,
of course,
who was blind, right? Who, when he would make a phone call, he would hear the tones, and he had perfect pitch and was able to reproduce the perfect tone with his voice. That was the original phone freaker.
What
And
year did this take place?
That was in the early 80s.
Okay, so not Charlie Booth. Got it.
Not Charlie Booth. People heard about that, and they built these things called blue boxes, which would reproduce the tones. And it had like a little speaker on it, and you could hold it up to, this is back when they actually had payphones.
Right.
And you could play that tone into it, and then you could make a phone call anywhere in the world. So they talk about that in Hackers, but they actually do that in 1983 in WarGames beforehand. While they were making Hackers, they brought on real hackers as consultants. So they brought like Emmanuel Goldstein. He's the guy that printed that magazine, the 2600.
Oh, okay.
And they brought on Nicholas Jarecki, who was basically the Joey character. And he literally got in trouble and was banned from actually having a computer for like 8 years or something like that, for hacking into major systems. I think, they were combing through the dialogue, making sure that all the stuff that they were presenting was actually real. The fact that the manifesto made it into there. Like, I think that is why that film resonates so well with actual hackers, because
they followed actual.
Even though the movie is kind of silly and fun, the actual information that's presented in it is true and real. Right. Like the situation where they're dumpster diving, looking for information, and they shoot that flare at the security guard. That was a real story that they just incorporated into it. Yeah.
Louise.
So the verisimilitude of what is presented in the screenplay is something that resonates with people still today. You said something earlier about anonymity, and they say it in the manifesto, right? They say that we exist without skin color, without nationality, and without religious bias, right? Because what you are is a name. your character's on a screen.
Yeah, and not even like a real name. It's just,
Right. It's made up. You can be anybody you want, right?
Exactly.
Like you can play against who you are, your very nature, if you want to. But I think that also is represented in this film. Like we have multi-ethnic group of people that come together under unified ideal, right? Or this concept of freedom. You've got Asian characters, you've got Puerto Rican characters, you've got black characters, white characters. They all interact. There's no bias. There's no cliques, no things separating them. They're all unified under this constant need to be plugged in and associated with the internet.
I don't have my actual name on, any game that I play. I use, my gamer tag, something that people, embraced immediately.
Right.
And not even, hacking groups, just people in general. Well, shoot. Should we talk about, how they visualize different sequences of hacking in Hackers? When they're fighting the plague, towards the end of the movie, and they have, Cookie Monster come up on the screen, and he's, deleting files and whatnot, and they're he's got a little Pac-Man character going back and forth, deleting lines of code. And then the plague is just type cookie.
Yeah.
Give Cookie Monster his cookie. And then rabbits start going across the screen, and we have Penn come up on and tell us that, you got to give it a vaccine or whatever. It's funny that they have all these different...
Well, I mean, the graphics are representing viruses that are being introduced into the system, right? But they have to do it in a visually appealing way.
Yeah.
Because people's understanding of what a virus was at the time was so low.
Very limited.
Yeah, very limited. So it's okay, well, what are we going to do to represent what a virus does?
Yeah.
And they went with the most obvious thing, Cookie Monster's deleting code. Yeah.
And then you have things like in Johnny Mnemonic, where he's in an actual 3D space. And when he's talking to his contact in that one organization or whatever, you just see the screen melting in and deleting his face over time type thing.
Yeah, and he's oh, it's a virus.
Yeah. Pac-Man noise.
And then there's, hacker dolphins in that film.
Hacker dolphins.
Hacker dolphins.
What's the dolphin's name again?
Jones.
Jones. That sounds right.
Hey, you got to meet Jones. Let's talk about the net. So that's a typical thriller, but her job is to be a hacker, to analyze data and remove viruses and things like that. Let's talk about the actual most amazing thing that she does in that film is ordering pizza online. In 1995.
Long before that was a thing that was
in
possible.
1995, she orders pizza online. I remember seeing that and going, oh my God, I wish I could do that. That's so cool. And then she waits to the last minute and orders plane tickets online too, which...
You still had travel agents and stuff.
Yeah, there's no way that was a system that this is futuristic at this point. There's no way you're actually ordering tickets online. Let's now extrapolate to present day and the way that hacking is represented on screen.
Yes. So it feels like because people have had access to it for so long at this point, it seems like it's been pushed in a more realistic direction. Mostly, you still see hacking that's, the 3D space, just doing things with your hands, Jarvis and Iron Man type style.
Right.
But you see a lot more actual terminal commands running and people typing into, just a text box in a screen type thing. And a lot of times they'll have a bunch of them just start popping up and doing stuff, when I feel like for certain tools, when you run a command on a terminal or whatnot, you might have to leave it running, so then you would open a new one up to do something else while that's going type thing. If you're scanning for, email addresses or passwords or whatever.
Yeah, or you're scanning hex code or ASCII code or something like that, that.
Something that just takes time.
Yeah.
So you got that going on one side, pull up another one for the other.
Well, I think you've got really realistic representations like Mr. Robot.
Yes, Mr. Robot's a really good.
Almost everything that they do in that is truly realistic, except for the time that it takes to do it.
Yeah.
They compress time. He always knows exactly what to do and how to do it immediately because he's a super genius.
Yeah.
As viewers, we're kind of going along with that concept.
Yeah.
We don't want to sit for 5 episodes while he figures something out.
Yeah. Representing it in media is it has to be quick just to keep the story moving along, because otherwise you'd be sitting there watching a guy just looking at a screen waiting for, his script to run.
Yeah, it has to be visually interesting. That's why shows like CSI or Castle, there's always some sort of, hacking thing in those. They're always ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's always what did you say? oh, I'm in. You know, it's always like, I'm in. It's like,
I got to put in my thumb drive.
Yeah.
Okay, the key's in.
Right.
Like it just starts. Yeah.
yeah. But, you know, then you have like really realistic versions like Snowden, that movie.
Never saw it.
Yeah. In your like Skyfalls and your Mission Impossibles, the idea of hacking is still, you know, represented through 3D graphics and all this kind of incredible.
Those movies are always about like the big thing, though. I mean,
Right.
I mean, you got exploding bubble gum and stuff like that.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
You just
Like,
kind of go along with it, right?
You suspend reality to enjoy the show. And again, like real hacking is just, it's boring. So people need something entertaining to, you know, keep it going. Even like, you know, games that make hacking more realistic.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. There's a whole wave of games now that
There's a lot of them now, but that's the thing. It's still a relatively, I mean, it's a niche community. The only people who are going to play these games are people that are actually interested in like cybersecurity, coding, like that kind of thing. Because you're typing in terminal commands. Regular people aren't normally going to do. We have operating systems that
we have graphical interfaces that make things easy for us.
Exactly.
Rarely does anybody need to go into terminal.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that game Watch Dogs that was all about hacking, but it was, I thought that it was a very, well, I mean, because it was a console game, it wasn't very deep or even very realistic. Like he saw like all of these electrical pathways, which was cool. It was a cool visual representation of how everything's connected.
Yeah.
But, you know, all you had to do was point at something and it was hacked, like, or, you know.
Yeah, that was another one where like it was Hollywoodified,
Right,
essentially.
absolutely.
Because you
100%.
just have you just have a bunch of tools on your phone or whatever that
Right.
allow you to like, you know, activate,
Instantaneously. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, hey, there's a car, you know.
change the stoplights,
Yeah.
start the car, make it
Yeah.
drive away. There's a device that is popular in hackerspace called a flipper. It's like a radio transmit and receiver type thing, but it can you can map like key fob
Yeah,
signals.
They
to it
use
and
that a
whatnot.
lot for like getting into hotel rooms and things like
Hotel
that.
keys
Or credit card.
yeah.
Yep.
Which is a big. I mean, it's frowned upon to use them in that way, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's still something that like anybody can buy. It's like they're just available online.
Other games that are like really good approximations of real hacking.
Ironically, pretty realistic as far as like tools used and whatnot. Is called Anonymous Hacker Simulator, where this is an interesting game because it actually has like a 3D space where like your character, you can get up and walk around and, you know, customize your apartment, that kind of stuff. But then you sit down at a computer and you have access to these tools that actually exist, like Nmap, which is an application that discovers networks and is used for like security auditing for companies. They have air cracking, which is like to crack Wi-Fi security. It's specifically used to capture packets to recover security keys. So like when your computer's communicating with other data centers and whatnot, and it's sending and receiving packets, this essentially intercepts that to get security keys so that they have access to it too. There's more realism in video games now. It's made to be more interesting. It's still not the most interesting thing in the world. Like it's, again, the only people who are going to play games like this are the ones that are actually interested in cybersecurity, in hacking,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, I read about one called Hacknet that's really very, very realistic.
Yeah.
Where you're working almost completely in terminal.
There's a lot of those.
Yeah. And then at some point you're counterattacked by another hacker and they take your whole graphical interface away and you have to like hack into their computer and recover it. There's a point in that game where you have to hack into someone's heart monitor. They have a pacemaker and you stop it and kill them. Like you're making real world choices. So in summation, Dave, the representation of hacking has gotten more realistic.
Yeah. More realistic over time, in some ways more stylized depending on, you know, futuristic aspects.
Right. And a lot of that has kind of been mixed with the concept of AI now too.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think
That's going to be a whole thing.
I think we should have like a future episode about AI, like, and how the representation of AI has changed over the years too.
Fuck AI. But no matter what, it's as much as hacking has changed and how it's changed stylistically, how it, you know, visually, practically, it's always interesting to watch. It's always fun to see people, you know, breaking the rules.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. It's like we get a little bit of an adrenaline rush along with them.
100%.
You know, a lot of hackers. I watched a bunch of videos with hackers, and they say the first time you break into a system is like a lot of firsts in your life, like the first time you have sex or the first time your son is born or something like that. It's like one of those seminal moments where
like a
you
straight shot of adrenaline.
and endorphins just, it's like, wow, oh my gosh, I've done it. You know?
And then it becomes addicting.
Yep.
And then you get caught by the cops, and then you're in big trouble.
Well, and then you have a choice.
And then you have a choice to make.
You either work for the government
Well,
or you go into private and you become a white hat or a gray hat.
Yeah. It's nice that we live in the age that we live in too, because people who are interested in this kind of thing can, explore cybersecurity. And there's so many websites that teach you about cybersecurity and teach you ethical hacking so that you can learn how to do that, and you do it in a controlled space where you're not going to get yourself in trouble, but you still kind of get a hit of adrenaline that, like, you solved this puzzle, you figured this thing out.
Let's go back to the hacker manifesto. Like the idea that the internet was going to unite us all.
Yeah, which it did.
Well,
for better or worse.
Yes,
like,
we are now kind of an international community, right? Like you can talk to people in Japan, and it doesn't matter where you're from, you're connected. But it's also kind of separated us in a way that no one foresaw, right? Like
I think that goes back to the anonymous factor, where people talk to each other online and can be their full selves, but then when they go out in public and they have like a face to the voice,
right,
it changes dramatically. You get so used to talking to people online, talking through texting, you kind of forget how to talk in person. Honestly, it's something that I struggled with a fair amount just through like high school and whatnot, because I grew up playing video games, spending all my time, at a computer, at a game console. I would only hang out with, the same 3 friends ever.
Right.
And whenever I met somebody new, like, I was just super shy. I didn't know how to talk to people. And like, it took a lot to get me to start coming out of my shell more.
Well, now I leave you somewhere, like I go and get popcorn and you're talking to famous people when I come back.
It happened one time, Adam. It happened one time.
I just thought that was the funniest thing. I came back and you had no clue who you were talking to.
This was a good one, honestly, for the earlier version of hacking, because I've only ever been exposed to like, the later iterations of it. I think up until now, the Matrix was the earliest iteration of hacking I'd ever seen.
Yeah. Well, and he captures the vibe.
Yeah.
As opposed to the actual act.
Yeah.
I really like that scene when Dade sits down at the computer and like everybody in the background is moving around super fast. Like time is passing.
That's a good,
because he's locked in, and then all this is happening around him and he's so unaware of it because he's locked in.
And that's a good way to like portray what actual hacking is like, because it takes a lot of time, a lot of the times, and the world keeps moving.
Right. Exactly.
Well, now I've seen hackers.
Yes, you have.
Only 5,000 more things to see.
And we'll see you on the next Geek Motif video.
Next time. Hello, welcome to Geek Motif. I'm David. This is Adam. And we're fucking nerds.